When Claire Trevor walked onto the set of Key Largo in 1948, no one expected the film's quietest scene to become one of the most haunting in Hollywood history. It would win her an Academy Award, but the truth behind how that moment was captured is far darker than anyone imagined. Key Largo was already loaded with star power. Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Edward G. Robinson, and in the midst of them, Claire Trevor as Gay Dawn, a faded nightclub singer whose glory days were long gone. Her character was trapped in a toxic spiral of fear and dependence, clinging to the gangster who controlled her life. It was a role that required heartbreak, humility, and raw human truth. But what happened on set would push Trevor to her. Emotional limits. The scene in question seems simple on paper. Robinson's character, mobster Johnny Rocco, cruelly orders Gay Dawn to sing for a drink. She's terrified, humiliated, desperate. She begins to sing, voice trembling, makeup streaked, dignity shattered. It lasts less than 2 minutes. Yet that performance would bring Trevor her Oscar. What few people knew at the time was how unprepared she truly was. According to multiple crew accounts, director John Huston deliberately withheld the musical accompaniment Trevor was expecting. She arrived ready to lip sync to a pre-recorded track. Instead, Huston told her moments before shooting, "You'll do it live." No rehearsal. Trevor later said her blood ran cold. She hadn't sung in years. Her character's entire self-worth hinged on this one moment, and now so did her own. Cameras rolled. No second takes. No safety net. What happened next was not acting. It was pure, unfiltered panic transformed into art. Her voice cracked. Notes fell flat. Her eyes filled with shame. And that was exactly what Huston wanted. When the scene ended, the set went silent. Bogart, Bacall, the entire crew, no one moved. Trevor had bared her soul in front of them, and they'd just witnessed something brutally real. The scene was printed as is. Huston refused to let her redo it, saying, "You'll never find that honesty again." Behind the praise, however, Trevor carried deep unease. She later admitted that the moment felt like a violation, a stripping away of control. The fear on her face wasn't character work, it was genuine humiliation. Hollywood celebrated it as genius. She remembered it as one of the hardest days of her life, decades later. Film historians would call the scene the birth of modern realism, the moment when method acting reached mainstream cinema. But the price of that realism was Claire Trevor's vulnerability. When she accepted her Oscar in 1949, she smiled graciously, but those close to her said she looked uneasy, like she was reliving the song in her head. In interviews years later, she said that scene wasn't about courage. It was about survival. For a woman working in a male-dominated industry, being manipulated into authenticity was a cruel irony. It won her fame, but it also left scars. Today, when audiences revisit Key Largo, they see a breathtaking piece of acting. But once you know what really happened, the scene becomes almost painful to watch. It's no longer just a woman begging for a drink. It's an artist begging for control of her own performance. The darkness of that moment isn't in the story, it's in the way truth was forced into the frame. So yes, Claire Trevor won an Oscar that night. But the real story behind her triumph reminds us that sometimes Hollywood's greatest performances come from the deepest wounds. And once you learn what really happened, you'll never see Key Largo the same way again.